Thank you to our host, my cousins Celeste and Michael, for having us here. Rabbis, friends, as many of you know, Stephen Esses was my lifelong friend. It was an honor to call him one of my best friends. As I mentioned in my speech at the Zarayat, he loved life, he loved the state of Israel, and he was determined to make it there. So in 1992, he picked up his family and moved to Efrat. He tried a number of businesses and he volunteered to many organizations and charities. He and Naomi hosted a Sephardic minyan in their home for many years before building a shul and dedicating a Torah to the shul in honor of his dad. He volunteered to chair an organization called Just One Life, and over 25 years, he helped save about 17,000 babies. Stephen sponsored many of our community kids to come and spend a year of learning in Israel after high school. And over the years, literally hundreds of students from our community spent Shabbatot by the Esses family, as their hospitality was legendary. One of those students, so I don't know if he's here, his name is Dr. Stephen Shama, Alan's son, was kind of adopted by the Esses family. As he went to medical school, he literally lived in their home for 2 years. So it is very appropriate to present him posthumously with this Chesed Award, and it's also very appropriate that we memorialize Stephen at an event for Rabbi Riskin, as Stephen also loved the rabbi, as everyone knew, and believed wholeheartedly in his work. To me, Stephen was the happiest, the most playful, the most optimistic person in the universe. He didn't have a negative bone in his body. In March of 2016, my wife Jamie and I were with him in Israel at his son Moshe's bar mitzvah when he was in great pain. He told me that they took a biopsy, they didn't get the results back yet, and he was sure it's just an ulcer of some kind, nothing serious. He hid the stomach pain from his family as to avoid upsetting anyone, but he shared it with me privately. When he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer the day after the bar mitzvah weekend, he was still optimistic. He told me over and over, "Jackie, I am going to beat this thing." I had the privilege of being able to be with Stephen numerous times until the week he left us, the day he left us on February 2nd, 2017. When he did chemo in the States, he let me and our friend Victor Bibi and Ricky Rudy pick him at Mars Sutton, pick him up from the airport, take him to chemo, and sit with him for hours at a time. He let me massage his feet and his back as we spoke. When the treatments were moved to Netanya, Israel, we made a rotation of his best friends to come out and spend a week with him. So we all agreed, Victor, Ricky, Morris, myself, it was a great privilege to be able to spend such quality time with Stephen in the months before he left us. Stephen didn't have just like a will to live. Stephen truly loved life more than anyone I've ever known. And he was determined to get better for his family. As the months and the treatments went on, Stephen was in terrible pain. He suffered, but he never complained. On the last visit I had with him just before he passed, I was privileged to be able to spend a full week by his side, 24 hours a day. He had an incredible amount of bitachon and emunah in Hashem. One day, his father-in-law, Dr. Shama, said something to me and Stephen about a new alternative drug that's being effective, and under his breath, I heard Stephen whisper to himself, "Please, God." I met with him and his doctors in Israel, and he just would not hear the words "give up." He temporarily defied them all by fighting the horrible disease, and he chose to subject himself to all kinds of treatments, all kinds of pain. As I said, he simply loved life, and he was not ready to leave us. On the last night I was there, he kicked everyone out of the room, and he said to me, "Sit down, let's talk." We talked for about an hour privately. We spoke about our lives, starting from childhood all the way through that day. He confided in me many things, including his goals and dreams, and his plans to create new Chesed organizations and causes. We apologized to each other, and I told him how much he had enriched my life for the past 40 plus years. Then it was getting late, and I had to catch my flight back to the States. He looked at his watch and he said, "You have to go, Jackie." I bent down to give him a hug. He stopped me and he said, "Wait, I want to get up." It took every ounce of energy he had left for him to sit up in his bed. Then he mustered all the rest of his strength and stood up, and he said, "Now give me a hug." And we said goodbye. Stephen accomplished more in his 53 short years than most people do in 100. He built an amazing family and a home in the state of Israel. We will miss him every day, and we will never ever forget him. I, for one, will never be the same. Stephen Esses enriched my life beyond description. He taught me what it means to fight adversity. He showed me the meaning of courage, of faith, of optimism, and the meaning of tolerance, of patience, of love for Israel, of dedication to principles beyond and bigger than all of us, and of constant, never-ending acts of kindness. More than anything else, he showed us all what it means to love life. As I mentioned previously in Stephen's Arayat, when someone loses a parent, he is called an orphan. When someone loses a spouse, he's called a widower or a widow. But there is no term in any language to describe the immense sadness of losing a friend. A true friend is the greatest of all blessings. Stephen, we all thank you for blessing our lives with your friendship and your love. תהא נשמתו צרורה ושרה חיים.